All right, we are going to go ahead and start our meeting for the Design Review Board for December 1st, 2020. I have a couple of instructions for this evening. If you're attending virtually via Zoom, there are a few guidelines I want to mention. So everyone is muted and your videos are turned off by default to minimize any disruptions. If you would like to make a comment during the public hearing portions of this meeting, please raise your hand by clicking on the icon labeled Participants at the bottom of your screen, and then click the button labeled Raise Hand. If you're calling into the meeting on a phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9 on your keypad. Once the moderator calls your name, please unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone button on the bottom of your screen or by pressing *6 on your phone. Thank you. All right, so I'd first like to call the meeting to order by everyone standing up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, to the Republic, which stands one nation, under God, indivisible.
Right. I'd like to introduce our staff and board members. If we can start with our staff, please, on the left.
Robin McDonald, zoning manager.
I'm Shubha Jangam, senior planner at City of Milton.
Lee Collins, Westbrook Road.
Charlie Roberts, Freemanville Road.
Laura Weissong, Crooked Creek.
Reed Casey, Bethany Road.
Beniquith Palmer, Canterbury on the Lake.
Tim Bryan, Mayfield Road.
Great, thank you.
Madam Chair, we also have Jeff on
Yes.
Zoom. Jeff, can you hear us? Oh, wait, undo.
He's muted.
All right, Jeff, maybe you can just check in.
Unmuted you.
Jeff?
I'm here.
Yep.
Okay.
If you
Jeff
could
is
please introduce yourself.
You unmuted, so don't do anything you don't want everybody to hear, okay?
Okay. I'll be respectful of the audience. Jeff Dufresne, Summit Road.
Thank you. All right. First on our agenda is we need to approve this evening's agenda, and we do have one modification. We're going to have a final review for Crossroads Brayburn Townhomes 7 through 9. If somebody could make a motion to modify the agenda by adding this to final reviews, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to modify the agenda to add Crossroads Brayburn Townhomes sections 7 through 9 under final reviews.
Somebody could second the motion?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Our next agenda item is we need to approve November's meeting minutes. So if somebody could make a motion to approve November's meeting minutes.
I move to approve November meeting minutes.
Somebody could second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Our first item up for the evening is demolitions. We've got several demolition items for this evening. And the first item is, the address is 14415 Phillips Circle. And if I could please have the applicant come forward. Not here. Okay. Applicant's not here.
I don't think the applicant's here.
Oh, okay.
No, No, that's a crossroad.
Oh, that's Crossroads?
Okay, so since the applicant isn't here, then.
Do you want to reorder it? Maybe we could
Yeah,
reorder it to
and
the
see if
end?
they come in.
See if they come in.
Yeah, if somebody could make a motion to reorder item A, if we can reorder that to item D, and we'll move the agendas down and see if they actually make the meeting.
Chair, I'll make a motion to move, adjust the agenda to move under demos, item A, Phillips Circle, to item D.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. All right, so our next demolition item on the agenda is, the address is 14720 Wood Road. If the applicant could come forward.
Hello. So, turned in the specifications to you. We're looking to do it's a 1970s roughly single family demo on 14720 Wood Road, and some other related structures. There's a couple outbuildings, storage shed type of outbuildings as well as part of that. I think you have all the design in front of you, demo. By the way, I'll introduce myself, Brad Boldick. I'm the actual homeowner.
Thank you. And I assume you are building something new in its place.
Yes, ma'am. We've actually already put in for a building permit with the design. We had a full design done for a farmhouse to replace that structure. Not a modern design, but a modern farmhouse.
Okay. And when are you expecting to start that process?
At this point, we've completed all the pre-work in terms of design engineering. That's all been submitted to the city. We're on the review right now, the first review. We've already gotten comments back. I'm expecting to have those answered in the next week. And besides that, we've interviewed 5 different contractors at this point. And as you can imagine, compared to a lot of people, when they get a contractor, we're already far into the process. So we're hoping to have the permitting done and then be able to pick the contractor and move forward quickly. So,
okay.
In the next, few months, hopefully, get going on it and hopefully be done in 12 months.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board for the applicant?
The 1970 structure, no historic.
No, it's a single level. Well, it's actually got a small upper level, but it's a ranch style. There's nothing historical about it. It's a foundation, but it's a cedar clap. Pretty quaint. I don't know what you'd call it, but I'm not in design, so I don't know what the design would be, but pretty quaint little structure. So
I see no issue with this.
Any comments from staff? All right.
Not on any surveys.
Okay. Any comments from the public?
We don't have any comments. No.
Okay, great. So if somebody would like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the demolition at 14720 Wood Road.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, good luck.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next demolition is, the address is 15255 Birmingham Highway.
I'll have to come down.
And I know I've seen this before. If the applicant could come forward. Please state your name and address.
My name is Austin Linderry. I reside at 1355 Freeholm Road in Canton. I'm the general contractor and owner of New River Building Company. We had come through last month. This one should be pretty straightforward. There's a accessory structure at the back of the property at 15255 Birmingham. In the picture you see, it's pretty dilapidated garage that's been out of function for a while. So the intent of this client is to improve the property with a new custom home and new detached garage, which is in the near future. So we need approval to remove the barn.
And I assume this doesn't look like an historical structure, but
ma'am.
I'll ask anyways.
Sure. No, it is not.
Okay.
Well, this guy wasn't here.
And once you tear down, how quickly are you looking to put something in its place?
Immediately, we've already applied for a building permit, and you're going to see me again here in a few minutes for another structure on the property. So we are in that process right now.
I had a question. The comment under project description says the demo of the existing barn to appeal a rejection of the community development decision to deny the acceptance of the
So let me, I can explain to you. So you'll be looking at a secondary variance later in the agenda regarding the house and pool was demolished without a permit.
I remember that one. Okay.
And so we checked with the city attorney to make sure it was okay for him to go ahead, and it says construction permits, so a little loophole there. So he had asked if he could be heard at this DRB so he can get ahead of the ball, so to speak.
Okay.
And so that's why he's here before you for the barn.
Okay, I remember that one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Right. Okay, yep. Any additional questions from the board? Comments from staff? Any comments from the public?
There are no comment cards, no.
If somebody would like to make a motion,
I'm in the motion mood tonight, so I will make a motion to approve the demolition on 15255 Birmingham Highway.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next demolition item is, the address is 310 Drb Road. The applicant could come forward. Drb Road.
Yeah, I don't have anybody that's signed in.
Okay. All right. Let's see if one is here from our first item that we moved. Phillips Circle. 14415 Phillips Circle.
They're not here yet, but they're planning to come. I was just checking on them.
All right. So it looks like, all right, we're going to have to make some adjustments. Okay. So it looks like Drb Road is not here, so we can do one of two things. We can save this for the last item, or...
Save it for the last item.
Okay.
Very last item.
Okay, so why don't we move both Drb Road and Phillips Circle to the last item, if somebody can make a motion?
I will make a motion to adjust the agenda to move under demos Drb Road and Phillips Circle to the very final items of the meeting tonight.
Somebody like to second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, so we are now going to move into courtesy reviews. And courtesy reviews are items for zoning variances. These items eventually will go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. The Design Review Board does not take a vote on these items. We do provide feedback and input to the applicant that will actually also be denoted for use by the Board of Zoning Appeals. Our first item is V20-31, address is 15590 Birmingham Highway.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I'm Scott Reese with Brumlow Reese & Associates, doing business at 13685 Highway 9, Milton, Georgia, 30004. I'm here tonight representing the Gianturco family and their application for a variance to allow an existing cottage structure to remain, and as I'm sure you're all aware, the Milton ordinance requires a guest cottage to be located in rear of the primary structure. This particular case, this was a primary structure at one point. Our records show that it was constructed in 1952 by the previous owners. The Gianturco family has assembled more than 90 acres of contiguous, if you count the road, property at the close to the Birmingham Crossroads. They are constructing a new house in behind. I mean, you've got a copy of the site plan. I've got it on a jump drive if I need to, but I think you've got everything on your packet that I submitted. So you'll see the primary residence. We obtained the permit to construct it, and then we got struck with a worldwide pandemic. And one of the children, as has happened to many families, their lifestyle was upset, where their former job and residence disappeared, so they're having to move back to stay closer in due to things outside of their control. The house, like I say, has been there since 1952. So there's nothing. We're not proposing anything new. We're just keeping the existing conditions such without tearing that house down at this time. It meets all the other standards other than being behind the primary residence. It's outside of the building setback lines. It's smaller than the required heated space. So that's where we're at. I think it's very important that we give some laxity to our large estate property owners. A lot of times they're older and need, or maybe younger, but they still need help on these horse farms or estates. And I'm hoping, this allows a little leeway to preserve these estates and not have everything end up being 1 acre subdivisions. So that's kind of the spiel on it. I would appreciate any comments that you think would enhance us getting through the Board of Zoning Appeals. So I will gladly listen and try to respond if you have any questions. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
I just got one question. What triggered the need to want the variance for that if the new house is already under construction?
Well, at the time when we first planned it, we were going to demo the house.
Right. Okay.
And then we got a permit. But then things changed, and now they have a necessity for the house.
Okay.
And due to CUVA restrictions and estate planning, if we go to chopping up the property into lots, then the tax ramifications become severe to a certain point that, it makes it very difficult for them to maintain this estate because, I'm sure you're aware of the conservation use valuation assessments that allow these larger tracts of land to pay a tax rate based upon their use as opposed to their, proposed some point in the future assessed value. That if, you could subdivide this and these lots would be worth $300,000, well, we're assessing it at that value. And it makes it very, very difficult for anyone to own a larger tract of land.
How much acreage is here?
The Gianturco family owns 93 acres total.
Just on this plat we're looking at.
10.65.
Is that, it looks like there's two tracks here, is with the dotted line. Is
gosh, you've caught me.
Yeah.
Land lot.
Oh, I'm sorry, that is a landlocked lot. That's the 40-acre lot, the state designation. Of how everything is subdivided in the Gold District.
So with those two tracks, with the land lot between them, what is the total of?
The total is 10.354 acres. And this tract of land is in land lots 413 and 452.
So really the 90 acres has nothing to do with this.
Well, this parcel was bought separately, so it was never, it exists as its own unit. But you should have an aerial photograph and that highlights in blue the estate. And this is this is inside that blue area.
Okay, but before us tonight's 10 acres.
Yes, it is. There's an individual legal description of 10.365 acres.
I'm going to ring in here since I personally just went through this on 18 acres, and I was forced to subdivide out by the rules of Milton and subdivide out my guest house and do that. And I just completed that this year. And Robin helped me get that done, meaning advised me that I could not do what you're wanting to do. And I guess I find an issue anytime somebody starts something and they're building it based on permits and then they change their mind. I would say they need to subdivide it. It really isn't going to change Cuba, I don't believe, because there is a house here, so that's not in Cuba. And there's another house under construction, so any land that could be in Cuba will be. And like I said, I just completed this in the last 90 days. So I would send forward that I think it should be subdivided and let DRB do what, or let the Zoning Review Board do what they want. But I just went through this, and I really wanted to get a waiver and do what you're doing here. And nope, really, here's what happens. You need to get it subdivided.
I understand, and if we were all new construction, I would feel like that I was completely apples to apples. In this particular case, where the house has been there since 1952, it does not, in my opinion, negatively affect the community because it's been there prior to that situation. I understand that, that's the reason for variances, that occasionally we have to color outside the lines. I would expect it to be more difficult if I was coming through for new construction. But in this particular case, this is an existing structure that has been here for almost 70 years now. So we're not proposing a new house that's breaking the rules.
Well,
We've
yes.
got an existing.
No, you are proposing a new house. It's under construction.
The,
And you got a permit to tear this one down to be in compliance. So trying to understand the facts is, yes, that house has been there 70 years, but now there's a new house being built. And to get that permit, you had a demolition permit on the other one, so you met code. Now there's a 180-degree change. Understand they have a change of what they want to do with their property. And what they want to do is keep the house that they got the permit to tear down. Robin, what's your thought on this?
I mean, I think he has a right to ask for it. I'm not, it's an existing house and circumstances changed. So it's obviously up to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and you could make your recommendations to them as you so wish. So,
Scott, in your opinion, besides them being able to keep a CUBA and not subdividing the property, what other benefits of them for a community at large is there for not chopping up these properties?
well, typically, these larger estates are held in trust, in family trusts, and for estate planning to pass along these properties, these trusts are set up in such ways that acreage tracts are set, they're set aside in perpetuity there. So the larger estates are typically held like that. It's a, I guess, kind of a sign of our times or whatever, that you have to plan on these larger tracts of land, that with now the value of real estate in the city of Milton, that and I fully get Mr. Roberts' concern. And if we were starting from scratch proposing a new residence and a new guest house, then we would have planned, accordingly. But with the location of the new house, there's really not room. Well, we've got an existing. I can't pick the house up and move it. So, in this particular case, and I fully, I'm sure not everyone will agree, but that's where it's at. I think it would be an undue hardship on this family to come back and say, sorry, you changed your mind because of a pandemic and you need to tear this house down. But that's the case, and you either agree or disagree. But I do think that we need to, either through ordinance change or whatever we need to do, if we are very serious about maintaining our larger tracts of land, that we need to have some laxity with the rules on especially these cottages in the front. I mean, I had one on Doris Road that you guys, some time back, the house had deteriorated to a point, and we were basically building back nicer in front, but the primary residence was in the back. And once again, we were dealing with existing structures that everyone in the community had been there around, and we had to go through the variance process.
A couple of questions, not. Firstly, the need for. Apologise for the feedback. Is that a temporary need, or they plan for the family to move there permanently? So, the need for the house at the front because of COVID, family members moving back, is that a permanent move, or is this a temporary need? Or how long is a piece of string?
We're dealing with a 24-year-old daughter that is going to be moving into this house in the front, and the dad and the younger brother are moving to the house in the back, the new house.
And the house itself, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 1950s brick ranch that was what we all locals grew up in. that, you know, they were scattered all over, and, you know, the typical hip roof, picture window, 1,500 square feet with a carport. That was, you know, when your dad worked at Lockheed or General Motors or whatever, that was what you built in Milton or North Fulton County in the 50s.
Bob and Robin, legally, if they have a building permit because they had a demo permit and they're under construction, where does that work out? What happens to the demo permit? And is that why they're going through to get a variance? Because they got a new permit based on something they were going to do. Is that what the variance is about?
Yes, because since the main house is under the primary house is under construction, then this existing house is in front, so therefore it's a need for a variance because once it's CO'd, the rear house, then this house would be in front of it.
Yeah, and they got the permit to get started on the new one based on the demo of the old one. Bob's saying yes.
Okay, yeah. I would say that technically there is an administrative permit that you're allowed to live in the existing house until you have a CO of the new house. So
That's when we would have hit non-compliance.
and then you were planning to take it
Yes.
down. So
Okay, so with that, you legally had your demo permit, and you legally had your building permit, and then that issue allows you to live in the house you're going to demo till you get the CO on the new house.
correct.
So that's what's driving a variance that where they are today can't work.
Well, because they want to keep that main house in the front,
Permit.
and therefore they need the variance because we don't allow that type of use to be in the front of the primary house.
And Scott, I come out of, when I'm doing this, lots of things sell as we talk about these big land values. We're seeing 7 and 8 demos a month, or 6 or 7 demos a month, which I'm all for demos because we build back bigger and better. So I vote yes, just unless it's historic. So this is 10 acres. This could all happen, and this could be sold in a year, or it may be 6 generations from now. But this is 10 acres. It's not 90 acres, and we don't really know who owns it. So I have to look at it as 10 acres. We're doing something that I know, personal point of view, just supposed to get done. And that's my issue. So I'm not going to say anything else. The board's got their opinions.
Right.
I would like my point sent forward to the BZA that we have policies and procedures in place. While the hardship here, codes are codes.
I would, as far as you're saying, there's no proof that they own the other. I mean, I have tax records, but the Gianturcos own Scottsdale Farms, the nursery across the road. I don't know if you've ever.
No, I
been
didn't
there,
mean
but-
it that way. You
Oh,
took
okay,
it wrong.
I missed.
I meant this is not across the road. This 10 acres floats on its own, and because it's not across the street and
Right.
part of the other land.
This is part. There's 40 acres on that side of the road. So
You and I do this every day. This is a survey of 10, and the whole issue's on this titled.
this
Property.
particular piece of the family's holdings, that is correct. Yes.
I kind of like the way that the Doris Road property worked out. They came before us, and they actually it's turning out to be quite a nice house. I would hope that whoever moves in this house, if the BZA allowed it, would also make improvements to it if it was allowed to stay. I think that there should be a right for these people to keep this house here. I mean, I understand there's codes and there's ordinances and things to do. I'm trying to put myself in the owner's shoes. If this was my mom and I bought the property from mom and built a house in the back and I wanted her to stay on the property, or whatever family member that is, I think that I would want that and not have to tear her 1950s house down. So I think that I see it a little bit different than Charlie, but
Is there a
my
need
opinion.
to make a distinction?
I mean, I think so. I think there's a grandfather for lots of different reasons. I think that rule would apply for me.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
And Reed, I don't disagree with my mother and all that stuff. I'm just looking at the codes and what's on the books now. And as we said, we don't vote, so it's just our thoughts that go to BZA. So I don't disagree about mothers and hardships and all that. I'm just looking at codes.
My preference is not to have.
I would agree. And I can say, having been on the design review board for several years, we've had several properties come through very similar to this. Been here. And some really hard ones. Both some homes with historical value and some that didn't. But I would say in the majority of the cases, because those are large lots, we tended to allow the homeowner to move forward with those. There may have been one case in the several years I've been doing this that we said no. But I know the Jean Turcos. They have a lot of land here. They're good community folks. They've done a lot for Milton. And it's unfortunate with the situation and how it worked out. And I don't have any problem with this moving forward just because I've been on these cases before. I mean, I know Tim's been involved too, Tim Bryan, so he probably can speak on it.
I think with the distance between this existing house and where the new house is, and I've seen the property myself, that I would be okay with this one, the existing house staying, because it's there already. It's close to Birmingham Highway. The new house is pretty far back from it. It's not like it's right in the front yard, just a few feet away. It's quite a distance back. So in this case, I think I'd be all right with it.
I agree. I look at it as, like you said, the house has been there forever, and kind of like an unforeseen condition kind of thing. When those kind of things pop up during a renovation, you have to do an addendum or something to the drawings, and so when you get to the final permit, or the final inspection, it's easy for it to sign off because you got to change. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. That's just one big old addendum. They kind of have one big old unforeseen condition, almost.
Yeah, and Charlie, I fully understand, and I do not take it lightly when totally new construction comes in. We address every avenue to stay within the rules and regs. This, I feel like, is a special case where we have an existing house in that. So thank you so much for your comments.
And, I agree with everybody's comments. Again, that's just my viewpoint, and I don't disagree with anything that's not said, especially working toward, and maybe this is a good time, Robin and Bob, I've written 8 or 9 letters to the council, and I bought my 18 acres 4 years ago, and we've yet to do anything to keep big lots. We all talk about that. We want a variance, but there's nothing on the. I had to run water lines, $5,000 to run the electric way back.
I fully understand.
And so this is a time to take this case and maybe get something that's 6 acres or 8 acres. More than 3, let's say, some number that you're in the industry, you're here all the time, and so you ought to write a letter, and that would make this easier to do the thing I could vote for in 1 second, save 10 acres.
Yes.
That's not on the books today,
right.
And it needs to be. And we need something to do just what Scott brought up.
Yeah. Using that as an incentive, I plan to be at a council meeting in the very near future in the 5-minute general comment to address, and based upon whatever council or committees decide, an acreage minimum, but it would behoove the community at large to preserve estates and give laxity. If they meet the standard building setbacks, that if we need a cottage in the front and the big house is 1,000 feet back, it shouldn't have to go through giant hoops and hurdles. That's my opinion.
And then this would have been a no-brainer because we're saving 10 acres.
Right.
And the same with the length of the roads and all these things. So promote that
Yes.
to the council. They know you, they hear you, and we've seen it. Laura brought up that she's seen this for years.
Yes.
But I guess as a developer going before a lot of municipalities, I don't love it when we get into, I know this landowner is really a great guy, he's done a lot. That's all illegal, by the way. If you take this to court, I've been to federal court 5 times on land use, and that's all illegal if you make a decision based on, are you like them? Are they big landowners? And I picked this on purpose because I had to do what the city said do, because I didn't want to ask for a variance. Robin will tell you that. I said, I'm on DRB, I don't want to ask for a variance. I'll subdivide. And so, but in all my letter writing in 3 years about this, we haven't gotten one thing on the books to enhance big tracts. And so,
Not that I think I have any more power or say, but I will try.
You have a lot to say. You're dealing with this over and over. You and Laura and people that have dealt with it for years.
I urge all of you to put your comments for CPAC. It's the planning, and that is, those meetings are going on.
The long term, yes.
Yeah, and because this came up at the first meeting, by the way. Those are public meetings. There's surveys online that everybody can answer to put your feedback in. I would highly recommend you do that because we're looking at all of this stuff, all of it. And I would say get involved, really. Bob, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell the board, one of my lead initiatives is I just recently, in the last several weeks, became the interim community development director.
Can you speak a little louder?
Yes, I said in the last several weeks I just became the interim community development director. But one of my key initiatives is to do just this, is to look at large lots and we have spoken about it. So I really just want to assure the board that we're really looking at this seriously, and we are. We will be addressing a lot of these issues, more than just this one. There's a lot of little issues, and
I didn't know what I could say. And
we are going to be addressing these issues.
And the zoning review board will get this handled, I'm sure. But this needs to be in the notes. That my comment is, it's an easy wish to save 10 acres and do all this stuff, but it is on the books, and maybe that needs to get changed. To make your job easier and to take care of people.
Yes.
The books need to get changed in Milton, where we want to say, what I don't want to see is dozens and dozens of 3-acre pieces on Freemanville, and those, Don Sutton probably across the street from me. He's 90 years old. He's already got a bunch of offers from builders to take his 3.5 acres and make it into 3 lots. Well, that's what we don't want.
Right.
But if in the 4 years I've been asking, nothing's been done, Bob. Everybody says, yes, let's do it, but we don't get it done. And this would have been a no-brainer on 10 acres. And what's wrong with 2 houses on 10 acres? Guest house, old guest house, and who wouldn't want to build a new house on their 10 acres? Laura, so you're one of the chairs.
I'm the representative for Design Review Board. So, yes, so please. But you can show up at any of these meetings. You can publicly speak. We had several people speak at the first meeting. It's very helpful for people to hear from the community.
Next public meeting is on December 10th.
Yep, thank you.
And Scott, I think equally important is the professionals that have to deal with this all the time.
Yes.
You're local. You grew up here. They do listen to you, and you deal with it all the time.
Right.
So
it is not necessarily the highlight of my week to come and for variances.
Come on.
It's, so no, I had rather just do a site plan that meets city standards instead of doing both. So.
Well, and my point is they listen to you. You're making it happen. You're dealing with this more than anybody.
Yes.
Probably in Milton.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I think we're good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Scott. Our next courtesy review is V20-32. The address is 214 Fossil Trace, to allow a pool, pool deck, and pool equipment to be located in the front yard. Could please state your name and address? That would be great.
Yes, my name is Rick Kaldrovics. I'm the owner of Outside Landscape Group at 11435 North Fulton Industrial Boulevard, and that's in Alpharetta, 30009. Representing the Jones family, Mr. Michael Jones is present in the meeting tonight. We're serving as the landscape architect and installation company for a pool project that they would like to put in their property. The situation on this particular lot is unique and interesting because it's a private road, Fossil Trace, that is at the corner of Hopewell and Birmingham Road. And with this private road, it's an enclave of 3 homes on this private road. And the way the setup of the lots sit on the private road is that Mr. Jones's particular lot faces Hopewell, which is sort of through the woods and beyond in the back side of the property. But his front yard in theory, or in physical nature, faces the main private road, which is Fossil Trace. And on their particular lot, they have a unique situation where they have a short backside to their house with some drainage that runs through the backside of their property. And on the side of their house, the lower left side, they have a wonderful little attachment to the back of the house that has a fireplace and a gathering area. And they would like to extend that use by adding a pool and having an area that connects to their main living area that they enjoy as part of the property. So the plan that we designed includes a pool and a landscape in that location, and we're hoping that we can get approval to move forward on what physically on the property makes the most sense to put the pool there in that location for the family.
Yes, Bob.
So I just want the board to know this is another case where staff is taking the lead in doing a text. We're in the process of doing a text amendment change to the code to allow pools to be in the front yard of a flag lot with staff approval on it. So we'd still have the ability to look at it, but it just made common sense to do it. So we've already taken that initiative. It's just that hasn't. It's going through the process right now. We're trying to clean up a lot of these situations. It's just that they take, I have to do a text amendment. It takes a couple of months to get them through, but we're working on them. Like 4 months. But, okay.
That's going to be a
Right. So I just wanted the board to know that we are, from a staff perspective, starting to really initiate a lot of these things. They'll take a little time, but we're trying to clean a lot of this stuff up.
On behalf, if I could ask a question on behalf of our client who's sitting in the room, is this not going to be approved or if proposed to be approved until possibly March? Is that right?
Right. We have regulations that have to have certain public hearings and advertising, and it has to have a first read and a final decision by the city council. So the way that the schedule is.
But in your case, you're going for a variance.
You're going for a variance, which it'll be heard later this December.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. No, your situation or the BZA on the 15th.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have another future client with a similar situation, hopefully it'll be resolved.
Okay.
I'm just saying it because it will support your case in the BZA when they know staff is initiating this kind of change.
Only question I have, the neighbor who's on the side where the pool is, are they okay with it? I mean, I don't think they could see a whole lot of it.
Yes,
but-
actually, our client, Mr. Jones, has spoke with the neighbor, explained what we're trying to do. They, of course, raised the concern, which most neighbors will, in terms of drainage implications, and we feel that the footprint of what we're doing is actually going to help their case, not hurt their case. So they have discussed it.
So my suggestion would be, I mean, because I am not opposed to this at all. I mean, I want to get the rest of the board's take, but I would definitely get a letter from them saying they're in agreement with it,
Okay.
the neighbor, and take that to the BZA.
Okay.
That always helps, definitely. Are there any other comments or questions for the applicant from the board?
I'm in favor of this. This is good. I'm in favor.
Thank you.
Everybody seems to be on board. Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Let me just double check. Do we have any comments from the public? Okay, so we're good. All right. Yeah, so good luck. That would be my only recommendation, is to just bring a letter with the neighbor. And other than that, I mean, it looks like a great project. We're all in agreement. So
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Our next courtesy review is 15255 Birmingham Highway. The case is 420-33. This is, I think, the other property that we saw earlier, to appeal the rejection of the Community Development Director's decision denying the acceptance of a building permit.
Hello again. Austin Lineberry, 1355 Freeholm Road, Canton, Georgia, 30115. It's my residence. I'm here tonight to represent the plumbers. Same property, 15255 Birmingham Highway. I wanted to just take a second to recap kind of where we left off last month. I think there was some confusion, so I apologize if there was any confusion walking into here. But tonight you guys have approved the removal of the barn/garage. It's really a garage in the back of the property. In the front of the property was a small home built in 1961. It had not been occupied or maintained for some time, was in dire need of repair. This is where Mr. Plummer, during COVID, purchased the property. He resides directly adjacent to this property. So he purchased the property. He got it insured. The underwriter went through the whole process. They sent a representative out, and the representative of the insurance company said, this is a safety and health hazard. You need to have this property or this structure removed by the end of the month, or we're going to cancel your insurance over the whole property. During that time, it aligned itself where the community was closed. The boards weren't meeting. He wasn't fully aware of certain situations that would require certain approvals, but the threat of the insurance company removing his insurance basically pushed him forward to remove the house. So that's where we were to our last meeting. He had the home removed back in May, which things were still shut down. And then we went to start the process to apply for building permits and the demo approval of the DRB for the demolition of the structure in the back. And then that raised a flag to where we're at today. So the property, the building in the front of the property had been previously removed. And so that's why Robin spoke up last week and said, hey, it's going to cause it to go into a variance. Needs to be reviewed, but I asked if we could come and have you guys look at the garage. So that's the general situation of where we're at. I don't know if you have any other questions as we move into questions and clarifications, but so basically what I'm going to do is I was hoping to have gotten it cleared by you guys last month. We were told we were not able to do that. We had to go to the BZA. So their hardship is the situation with COVID, the insurance company threatening to pull their insurance coverage, and Mr. Plummer making the decision to take the house down as a result of that. So that's what we'll be asking for is I guess, a hardship variance for approval of having done so.
Can we make comments? You good?
Yeah, go, yeah.
I would be in favor of just going, I don't know if it's possible to go ahead and, well, I would just be in favor of approving this demo. I don't really see a reason for them to have to come back, because I think that's what you're saying. You have to come back here to get the demo approved once the variance is approved. Is that what I'm hearing?
So I'll explain. So he won't have to get a demo what you're hearing, and it's a little difficult or odd, because this is what's called a secondary variance. And a secondary variance is, it's not to the metrics of the zoning ordinance. What it is an appeal to the community development director's decision to not accept their building permit. And this is the only loophole that we could find, so that they would not be required not, because the ordinance says that if you take down a building without approval by the DRB, then you cannot have development on the property for 5 years. Okay, so it's very pretty dramatic. And obviously, if it's understandable that the insurance company felt like this was a high risk. Again, this has had happened previously on Phillips Road. And so it's really hard for you to even make recommendations, because it's really an appeal to the director's decision. And in the last instance on Phillips Road, the BZA basically denied that, so that the next building permit could be proceeded with. I know it's very confusing, but it's just the only loophole that we found to allow people to continue to develop on their property and not wait for 5 years.
Robin, what do we need to do to send a positive comment to BZA so we can tear down the barn and clean up the property and get past this?
I mean, I think you could just say what your opinion is that you understand the circumstance why it was taken down, and that you are not opposed to that that this lot be developed as the property owner wishes it to be, and obviously to improve the property. It was just a very weird snafu between COVID and the insurance company. Obviously, they made a good effort toward trying to get a demo permit, and they were kind of forced between a wall and a rock, so to speak, or whatever that saying is. So, I think you just express that you feel like it would be in the best interest of the city if property is able to be developed.
So that would be my comment, is he needs to get all the help he can to get this cleaned up, the barn torn down, and the property put into a useful mode,
right,
going somewhere, and not wallow in the year of nightmare.
5 years, yeah.
So that's my comment.
The 5 year is kind of, is it used as a penalty?
Correct. It's
Okay,
the penalty, yes.
Okay, so yeah, I agree not to penalize someone for the insurance company kind of forcing your hand.
We all know we're all better to tear down old things like this and get something new built.
Absolutely.
And also it's less homeless or this, that, or the other living in it, or on and on and on. There's all kind of reasons to help him get this done and clean up the...
Yeah. And the only saving grace about this is he doesn't have to get a permit after the fact. So after, hopefully, if the BZA rules in the way they need to rule to allow him to build, he can just go on, and he's already submitted his building permit for his house, and so we'll process it through.
I mean, it's just it's a strange situation, and there's safety issues here, insurance issues, and you got to act on your best behalf, and nobody would have ever predicted this. So,
right.
I think definitely we want to make sure he can build on that property and improve it. That's what it's about.
This one, maybe we put in the notes, we encourage the BZA to help him get started with his new house.
Correct.
And if I may advocate for my client for a second, he's also a friend. I used to live in Milton. We sold last year and moved just into Cherokee County, so I was a resident for some time. But the process has been a little frustrating for him because they wanted to have already started improving the property. We would have applied for building permits and gone ahead. Now, the staff is doing their job and doing everything they can to help, but I think that there's been a lot of hurdles we've had to jump that have been somewhat frustrating. That's why I had pushed and Robin talked to the attorney to let me come tonight to not have to come again in January. So, this client wanted to start in the fall, and we just keep pushing back because what you guys want, what the city wants, is what they're doing. They're going to eventually combine this parcel, do a beautiful custom home, do a beautiful accessory structure, vastly improve the property in Milton, their property. So, I think that as we talked earlier and hearing you talk with Scott about that process and improving it, I think this is something else that could be addressed as well for the citizens to make it a little bit easier process when it's kind of a common sense situation, if you will. So that would be my encouragement just for the citizens applying for things.
Well, I think we're all in agreement. Everybody's nodding their head.
Yep.
So coming forward, and good luck. I think you're going to move through, though.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. We have a final review for the Crossroads at Brayburn Townhomes 7 through 9. If the applicant can come forward.
Good evening. I'm Carl Funderburg. I live 3965 River Club Drive in Cumming, Georgia, and I'm a managing partner in Adair Park Homes, which is building these townhomes over there across the street. Thank you for getting me in. I know something didn't quite work the way it was supposed to, but I appreciate you guys hearing us tonight. This is the third and final building of the 9 townhome complex that we're trying to do over there. This is the first time you've seen this building. You guys have already done 1 through 3 and 4 through 6. This building, basically the same floor plans. It differs in elevations because it faces the Parkstead Lane, which is a little private parking lot with the offices on the other side, and the ground goes uphill. So the big change here is that the entrances to these townhomes is on the second floor as opposed to the main floor.
Bob, help me understand what we're doing here. These are all blueprints or black lines. What is the change from what's been approved, and what are we looking at approving or disapproving?
This group of townhouses has not been before you. It's a little confusing because they had gotten approval for 1 through 3. Those are the ones under construction now. Then the new builder came in and wanted some changes. So he came back in front of DRB and asked for some changes, and we worked with him. And he even did some mock-ups for us on brick, and so we'd get the materials just right as well. So I think we worked on that. And then 4 through 6, which was the next group, still on Heritage, facing Heritage. And we made some of those changes, and the DRB approved those at the last meeting. And now he's in front of us with 7 through 9, which is still very consistent with the look and feel of the other ones. We did lower the building heights substantially originally from 1 through 3. They did that, and we reconfigured some of the window locations. But for the most part, the buildings are consistent with the original approval. And the materials are similar to what we have.
And for me, you spent the time looking at this and working on it, and you're happy with it.
Yes, and I believe we had Tim came out and looked at the brick as well.
I did.
Just to make sure that we were doing the brick and the mortar, because it's so impactful visually. There it is. So we really went through all the materials and colors and styles to make sure that we have the level of detail that we need for downtown Crabapple.
Okay, based on all the other approvals we've done, I'd say, and based on my high esteem for our city architect, he loves it. You love it or you like it?
I think they're really a big hit in downtown.
Okay.
I have one suggestion.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the floor plans too, and not just the elevations, but I'm looking at what you're going to consider the front door. And if you look at sheet 5, the second floor plan, you see in the center the 3 units together, where the staircases that go up to the porch are located for each unit. I like the one in the middle where the steps go right up to the doors in front of the staircase, but the one to the left and the one to the right, the front doors will be right into the kitchen. Follow that. And I just think it would look better when you're going to decide which of these 3 sets of French doors is going to be my usable front door to come into the area where the staircase is and not into the kitchen, not straight into the kitchen. I don't know if you follow me at all with that. So that's just a usable, how you're going to use the entrance, and I just thought that might be better to maybe shift the staircases so they're all in front of the staircases. Just a thought. But the outsides, to me, look great. I'm okay with the exteriors. It's just when I was just looking at the use of the floor, since we now know that the second floor is going to be actually the entry level of these units, that where's the front door? And I think the one at the staircase is the front door to me. That's all. Just a minor detail.
Oh, that's a great
Definitely
point.
take that back to our design.
It makes sense.
I think we've got the flexibility to adjust
Sure.
to that.
That's just a thought. You're okay.
What's the building in the middle at the very top? Is that just a staircase leading up there, or is that a bedroom? The middle building, the very top level?
That is a rooftop terrace.
That's great.
There's
Similar,
no habitable
on 1 through
space.
3, we did that on the outer units. So this is one where we're doing it on the middle unit.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
It's attic access with, terrace access with no habitable space.
Yeah, sure.
On the 4th floor.
On the 4th floor.
All questions, comments about the designs?
Can I just double check that? So the applicants, you're okay with moving the stairs, right? I'll just note that. Okay.
Actually, I have a comment. It's maybe kind of random. I don't know if this is a DRB thing or not. I've seen some townhomes that built like this where they put the AC units, because of the way that the units were situated, they put the AC units on the front, on the street side. And it just looks terrible, and I think it sounds terrible for somebody trying to enjoy their front porch, as nice as these front porches are. So I guess it would just be I don't know where you plan to put the AC units, but
It is a tight space over there, and it was a challenge, but on 1 through 3 and 4 through 6, we're not on the front with AC units at all, and I don't see that happening on this one either.
Okay.
Particularly with the front being a higher grade than
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
We should be.
Yeah, true.
But totally agree with that comment, sir.
Like, everybody's good with what they're seeing? No additional questions? Any additional comments, Bob, on this? Robin? Okay. So I think we're ready to make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the final review, Crossroads Brayburn Townhome 7 through 9.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Awesome. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
All right, let's see if we're going to go back to the two cases from demo and see if the applicants are here. So first one is Phillips Circle demo. If the applicant could come forward, could please state your name and address.
My name is Alexandru Dragomirescu. 395 Winkler Drive, Alpharetta, Georgia is my address, and the new house will be 14415 Phillips Circle. And I'm here to seeking a permit for demo and also building a new house.
Oh, 60s. Historical significance there.
No.
Paneling may be,
Pardon?
the pine paneling may be historic.
Well, yeah. I'd
One
probably
by the
keep that.
entrance is a historic, yes, not this one.
Pine paneling. And just a question I had for you, when do you expect to start construction of the new home?
As soon as we got a permit,
Have you applied for the permit?
Yes,
yet?
ma'am.
You have. So
Yeah.
relatively quickly, you're hoping?
yes, both of them, I applied for demo and building the new house, yes.
Okay, got it. Great. Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant, or are we ready to make a motion? Okay, let's make a motion.
I'll make a motion for the, I'll make a motion for the demolition for 14415 Phillips Circle.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good luck on your construction and demo.
Thank you very much. You have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our final case is 310 Darby Road demo. Nope. All right, so then we need to make a motion to postpone this particular item. If somebody could make a motion to table the 310 Darby Road demo for the next meeting, that would be great.
I move to defer the 310 Darby Road to the January meeting.
Second?
All right, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, it looks like for new business, we have to approve the 2021 DRB calendar. I saw that in your packet. Everyone's in agreement with those dates and there's no modifications. We can go ahead and make a motion to approve it. If I could get a second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Is there any old business? No, then we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.